Okay, people, this week I finished Project Hail Mary, right? So this is the new book from Andy Weir, right? So obviously you might recognize the name because Weir is the writer of the highly, highly successful The Martian. You know what I mean? They turned it into film starring Matt Damon, which was great. I've thoroughly enjoyed The Martian. He also wrote Artemis. That was the follow up, which it was okay, but it just didn't seem to have that same snap. But I was looking forward to this next one, Project Hail Mary. Yeah, I remember reading that was coming, and I was like, oh, it does sound interesting, right? So it was like, all right, let's do that. It is narrated by Ray Porter, who always does a great job, right? And yeah, the gist of the book is this, right? So Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. Except that right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time. And he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but two corpses for company. His crewmates dead, his memories fuzzily returning. He realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Alone on this tiny ship that's been cobbled together by every government and space agency on the planet and hurled into the depths of space. It's up to him to conquer an extinction level threat to our species. And thanks to an unexpected ally, he just might have a chance. So, yes, there you have it, people. Now, right, I think it's fair to say that there are elements of Project Hail Mary that kind of feel similar to The Martian. You know what I mean? Which, yeah, I guess that happens, right? And especially, I think we've definitely seen it with very popular work, and especially popular work which is like the first big thing from someone, that it's just like, let me go back to that well, you know? Now, I will say, I thought it was a very interesting way to tell the story. So we start off with him waking up and being like, oh, what's going on? Oh, I don't know. Right. So this is how we start off, and he's trying to fathom things out and kind of learn shit. Right. So we have that, which, yeah, not bad. And then as his memories are coming back, we get the flashbacks, which give us information. Now, they're not in order, right? So he'll remember something that was, at the very start of the mission or, before it even started, and just all these different bits like that, So it does make it interesting. And I think in that respect, you may kind of think it has similarities to Memento. Remember Memento? And we're watching that, and you're feeling real bad for the guy, and it's just like, all of this, and he has to tattoo stuff on himself to kind of remember. But by the end of it, once you see what happened at the very beginning, you're like, what a cunt. you know? And I mean, listen, like it doesn't go to the beginning. You think, of Ryland. Now there are things that we learn for sure, but it does make it interesting, in the way it's all kind of laid out for us. So that was fun. Now, I don't I don't believe this is as strong as The Martian. Now, the interesting thing is, so I finished this, and literally, I think the day after or the day of, it was voted on Goodreads as the best sci-fi book of 2021. Because this came out, I think came out in May, right? I believe it was May. I know, yeah, it was May, 4th of May. Okay. So yeah, which I was a little surprised at. Ain't gonna lie, I was a little surprised at. And I say that just because, as I said, look, there are the similarities to The Martian, of someone on this mission and all of that, and it all goes wrong, and then trying to work out, what happened and all of this kind of thing. So we have that. Also, I kind of feel like our characters are similar, you know? Um, because in the what was the dude's name in the motherfucking Martian? Um, shit. Oh, this is gonna bug me, man. Do we get a name? I feel that Mark. Yes, that's it, Mark. Right? Mark is very similar to Rylance. You know what I mean? Ryland even. They both have a bit of a cocky, sarcastic attitude, which is a bit like, okay, you've written two characters very similar in similar situations. Okay, all right, fine, fine, fine. Now, one of the other things for me was keep on going back to the same well, right? That seemed to be a big thing here. Now, at the very start, right, we have him being brought into the fold by Eva Strat, right? She's running this task force, so she has ultimate power. And we see her utilize that power, but not really in a shitty way, but it's to cut through the red tape. So if someone's got the skills to help this mission, which essentially is saving the world, right? It's not just to benefit one person or the other. She was like, you know what? Fuck it, you're coming with me. Yeah. And the guards are gonna make you. You know what I mean? It's none. So you'd be like, you could look at it as a little bit harsh, but you clearly see the need for it, right? It's everyone knows this is ending. And so there are moments in the book where she'll do something and Ryland's like, wait, you can't do that. That's too harsh. Right. And then she has to go, listen, the mission is this. Right. Now, doing it once, you can understand. But this happens a few times. And there is this one moment where something happens and it's just like, you're a bitch, you're heartless, blah, blah, I can't believe. And she's like, we're trying to save the fucking world. And you're just like, do we have to do this all the time? And then even when this big thing goes down, like she has to do this thing, which you can definitely see coming. And he's just like, oh, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. And then on the mission itself, when he remembers everything, he's just like, oh, and I've got words to say to her. And you're just like, wait, surely now you'd be able to understand why it was done, right? So it just got a little bit played out as a notion. And you're just like, for someone not to get it, you must be an idiot. But he's a teacher, right? So you're just like, what is it you don't get, son? You know what I mean? It was just a bit like, ugh. But then there's the other thing, right? He's he is a scientist, but he retreated to teaching. You know, these aren't spoiler plots, people. Don't worry. Um, so there is that. But then in the story, and again, this isn't because as in the synopsis, he's the only survivor, right? So, you know, being a teacher and then going to NASA and working with the UN and all of this to create this mission, which Project Hail Mary is very much on the nose. So there is that. But yeah, creating this mission with all of these experts and all of this. And it's just like, oh, you know what I mean? It's just he's the one to solve it and do it. And it's a bit like, you know, I kind of having the others die and him, I was just like, you know what? It would have been a good enough story without the others dying. You didn't really have to put it in this situation because now it's just a bit like, oh, look, this guy say. Now, in The Martian, the thing about that was there was all the scientists on Earth helping him out, sending him information. Now, he was able to work some stuff out, but he only had expertise in this one field. So it was just like getting the help from other people and finding information and all of that. So it makes more sense. But then in this, you know what I mean? It's just like we're meant to believe that he can do all of this stuff, right? Which is just a bit like, And I think the other thing with The Martian is the way everything is documented to show the working out of it so he can fathom it all. But we don't really get that with this, right? And so all these problems occur, and you're just like, wait, why wouldn't you document? Right? So you can track and monitor and see what the fuck is going down. So we have all of these things happening. And then once he's on the ship and all of these things go down and all of this, it's just something gets solved and then a disaster happens. Something gets solved and then a disaster. And it's just like, okay. Okay. You know, it's just like there's way too much, as I say, going back to the well, right? It's just you can't do these deuce machinas all the time. And then like once is fine, and you'll be like, oh shit, he managed to survive. Woo! But then again and again and again, you're just like, okay, he survived. Okay. You know? So it's just a bit like, fine. All right. So you lose that belief that it could all fail. You know? Not like with a story like this, you think there is going to be failure. You know what I mean? But I guess there are those notions that, oh, it could all how's this going to work? Like even in The Martian, there was a moment you think, oh, it's fucked. How's he going to do it? And then he makes the hole in the suit and he's able to, but you're still on the edge of your seat. But you think, oh, it's fucked up. No. But with this, you lose that because they play it way too many times. We have, okay, how can I talk about this next bit without ruining stuff for you. Okay. All right, let's just do this. There is a character called Rocky, right? And I think the thing with Rocky is it's played very oddly because at times, well, it's a bit like that child. Sometimes it's played a bit like a child, and other times it's like this thing that knows everything, and so it gets a bit like it can get a little tiresome, you know, because you're like, all right, either you're saying it doesn't know, right, or it's this, or also it's just like, why would you be constantly getting mad when we establish it wouldn't know any of this shit, right? So it becomes this kind of trying component, let's say, because it's just a bit like, oof, you know. Then also, I think there's this notion of the unknown, but making an unknown kind of in the parameters of what we know. You know what I mean? It's a bit like, wait, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Because if you're saying something is out there, then you surely should be able to kind of go, okay, we're not gonna play around in the sandbox that we comprehend. Let's do something a little bit different. But they didn't really, you know what I mean? So yeah, it kind of gets a little bit like that. And I think there's this other bit where they change this thing. And being a scientist, you'd think, right, there'd be the comprehension of if you're changing the molecular structure, you're changing the molecular structure. But no, which was very baffling. You're just like, huh? Wait, why wouldn't you comprehend that? Surely, it got a little weird. It did get a little weird. So I think where it's not a horrible book. I just think with how great and well written The Martian is, this it just doesn't live up to it. Right? Where I thought the Artemis fell short in places, I think that's still a stronger book than Project Hail Mary, which is why I was a little shocked that it was voted the best sci-fi book of the year. I was like, okay, was that the only sci-fi book you read? And again, it's not to say it's horrible, because there are some very good moments of it. But yeah, I just think there's stuff that it went on a little too long. It's like that film you watch and you're like, I really enjoyed it, but I could have lost half an hour, right? I kind of feel that with this. Now, the interesting thing is, like The Martian, this has been picked up to become a film, right? So, yeah, Ryan Gosling is producing and is going to be starring as Ryland Grace, right? Oh gosh, who else is? Yeah, there's some other. Ugh, god damn it, who is it? It's fuck. Yeah, there's a famous person who's gonna be bloody Drew Goddard. Oh, god damn it! I was like, who's fucking right? Yes, Drew Goddard is going to be writing the script. So he's worked on some big stuff, Cloverfield being one, right? So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that with the film, they kind of cut out some of the flab. You know what I mean? That I think that's often sometimes a good thing about the adaptations, that they can remove the stuff that doesn't quite work. But yeah, I think if you're a fan of Andy Weir, I think you'll find this interesting, you know. But yeah, don't try not to hope for something as stellar as The Martian. I kind of think if you really, really like to follow Artemis, then I think this will work better, right? Because it's more akin to that than The Martian. You feel me? But yeah, Ray Porter, as always, does a very good job with the narration. So yeah, people, there you go. There are my takes on the new Andy Weir novella.